Have you ever discovered a new podcast interviewing a guest you're really interested about, but you realize in the first few minutes you're ready to click away? Just because you have someone with a large following or an influential guest on your podcast doesn't mean that people are going to listen to your episode. There are a lot of interview shows out there, and if you're new to the genre, there's some mistakes that can make people click away pretty fast. So in this video, I'm going to give you 8 things to make sure you avoid in your interview and production so it reaches the widest audience possible. Number 1, don't make listeners and viewers wait for the content that brought them to your episode. I was recently searching for a topic, found a new podcast I'd never heard of. When I clicked on the episode, the co-host spent about 20 minutes just talking to each other. I clicked the episode because I wanted to hear the guest and the interview content. People clicked on your podcast episode because they saw the title or the thumbnail, so don't make them wait for that content, even if it's just teasing that main content right up front. And throughout this video, I'm going to share some great interview podcast examples that you can start modeling your content off of. And one is Diary of a CEO. When you click on one of those videos, you see a little trailer before the interview sharing really engaging moments, and the reason why you click is probably right here in the first 30 seconds. That's how you should model your shows. Number 2, don't ask your guest biography type questions like where they're from or where they went to school. Listeners and viewers can look up on Wikipedia the history of your guest. Or at the very least, don't spend time with your guest asking those questions, but put together a short bio that you put in the first 10 to 20 seconds of the episode. I would say after the trailer. Lex Friedman does a nice job about this, telling the viewers who his guests are, but not spending time with the guest asking those questions. Number 3, don't spend a bunch of time introducing yourself in an episode that people came to hear the guest. If you're spending multiple minutes at the beginning of your episode just talking about you, people are going to click away. They came for your guest. Another great example is Colin and Samir. If you watch a recent episode of their show, the guest is saying engaging things. Again, they've created a little trailer at the beginning of their episode, and you immediately want to hear the rest of these statements. Where's the story going? You can tell your listeners and viewers who you are maybe midway through the episode, or at best, at the end. And hopefully they should stay to the end because you've made the entire interview engaging at a solid pace and cut out all the fluff. Number 4, cut out all the small talk between the co-hosts. If you do a show and there's more than one co-host and you're interviewing a guest, there should be no crosstalk between the co-hosts. Again, we're here for the guest. We want to hear what they have to say. There can be quick asides between the co-hosts, but all the questions and the time should be spent on your interview and special guest. That's the reason someone came to your show. Number 5, if you have a guest that's been on a lot of podcasts or someone that's very influential, like Bill Gates on the Jay Shetty podcast, try to ask questions that viewers and listeners haven't heard before. So do your research. Watch other interviews with that special guest. Watch some of the talks they've done recently, or even a TED Talk if they have one, and try to ask questions to get at different topics or maybe get different answers out of your guest. This is really what makes a great interview show, doing your research, both on your guests so you can ask good questions and on their recent work, which if they've recently written a book or made their own video or film, make sure you're knowledgeable about that so you can ask pertinent new questions that previous interviews probably didn't have the opportunity, and then your show can stand out and be different. Number 6, pay attention during the interview and ask follow-up questions. Hopefully you get your interview guest to say something they haven't said in a previous show, and maybe they said something really interesting that the listener or viewer will want to hear more about. Well, try to be in their shoes while you're interviewing the person, and then ask those questions that your potential listener and viewer would love to hear you ask. You can also have some questions that you can use pretty much at any moment, like what did you learn from that? Or what would you do differently if you had to do it over again? Those kind of questions can get a little deeper on a topic and you can use in a variety of situations. So have those kinds of questions at the ready so you can dive even deeper as your guest is talking. Number 7, you have to think about marketing your show and packaging it well. That means title and thumbnail. And remember, if you're doing an interview show centered around the guests, people are going to find your episodes and your show because you have a guest that they want to hear about. So as you package your content, focus on the guest. Again, Colin and Samir. Mr. Beast is in the interview, he's on the thumbnail. Snapchat CEO, his face and title right there on the thumbnail. It doesn't have to be complicated or busy, but be clear. This is our guest. Maybe here's something they said that's intriguing, like this is killing your creativity or golf was boring, and make that be the headline of your episode. Remember, this also applies to audio-only podcasts. If someone discovers your show, that title of an episode and also the custom episode artwork is going to stand out to those potential listeners. So even if you're doing audio only, think about your title, how can you drive intrigue, and even use that custom episode artwork to your advantage. And finally, number 8, Record with the best video and audio quality possible. Even if you have the biggest guest, the most influential names, if it doesn't sound good and doesn't look good, people are going to click away. So how can you record to make sure you get the best audio and video quality possible? Well, that's using Riverside. I use Riverside every week to record my video podcast, and we get high quality video and audio, even recording remotely. My co-host just uses his iPhone for a camera, and that still looks great. You can use USB mics and have all the way up to professional setups, like I use a mirrorless camera and a Rodecaster Pro 2, and your interview will look and sound great. Plus, you can edit that interview all in Riverside, and our AI tools make it extremely fast to edit, cut silences, remove filler words, even use our Smart Scenes feature to get a multi-camera look with a single click, focusing on the active speaker, which ideally it should focus on that big interview guest. And like I said before, you have to cut the fluff to keep people engaged. Well, Riverside has a feature just for that. We literally call it Cut the Fluff, and our AI producer will suggest moments of your recording, and this way you can just focus on the most engaging content. Then you can also repurpose that interview using our Magic Clips feature, create those vertical videos in just a few seconds, add animated captions, and now you can even add video B-roll, text and image overlays on top of those clips, and you'll have engaging posts for social media. With Riverside, you get a high quality video and audio, plus all the editing tools you need to publish that on YouTube, Spotify for Creators, and the audio version of your show. If you have any questions about using Riverside or about interviewing in general, leave comments below this video. I'll answer you personally. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. We have lots of Riverside features coming soon, and some you might have missed, like our live streaming features, where you can multicast to multiple destinations, bring all the chats into one place to manage, and more. I use Riverside to live stream my podcast, and you can see the entire process right here. And if you want to see more of our AI tools in action, where I talk about workflows where you can set all the defaults for your AI tools, and then with one click, your content's basically edited for you. You can check out that video right up here. Thanks for watching. We can't wait to see who you interview.